Tragedies like the shooting at an Oregon Community College always make us think why and what went wrong with this guy to make him do it. Usually some side on the need for gun control or care for the mentally ill. But is that really the answer? Dr. Linda Mintle, family therapist and author, joins me now to discuss what could be the underlying cause of these devastating attacks. And Linda, the shooter's parents, of course, are divorced. And there was a blogger, Matt Walsh, that made the point that sometimes perhaps maybe that's more of a factor than guns. How do you think about divorce in the context of situations like this?
Well, we know the profile of these shooters. Those profiles have been studied. And one of the things that we know is a factor in this is that there is a father vacuum with a lot of these shooters. And so when you consider that fathers are the person in the family who understand the testosterone difference that's running through a male versus a female, and dads are the ones who know how to help their sons with aggressive impulses and help them understand, how do you rein that in? What do you do when you have a problem? How do you keep yourself from going over the edge with aggression? When you don't have a dad's influence in the family that is doing that, no matter how good a mother is, it's just a difference in the way we're wired and the way we're physically built to help our sons understand that. So taking a father out of the picture and not having a father deeply involved, especially on the attachment side of that strong relationship, because we know, Heather, that a strong relationship with parents is one of the #1 preventions for risk behavior in kids.
So it sounds like really important to look at family dynamics as well as access to guns and all of that.
Yes, and I think the issue with the access of guns that makes me a little crazy is when you have deep emotional problems and you're a disturbed person, you are going to find a way to get a gun no matter what. That's why they call them criminals, because they don't follow the pattern of the law. So I think when we have that conversation, we're getting a little bit off of the root issues here, and one of them is the lack of the influence of fathers on these young male shooters.
Mm-hmm. How do you encourage families that have divorce to still provide that stability, especially fathers and sons?
Well, this is where the church could really come in handy. This is why programs like Boys and Girls Clubs and Big Brothers come into effect, because we know that the influence of a male for a boy is so important. So if you're a single mom and you're struggling with that, you need to find people in your church, people in your community that will provide that influence. And I think also help them understand that when you have rage and you have aggression, what's an appropriate way? And they need to see other models and other men imitating how good ways to handle that aggression and those feelings of violence that come up.
Wow. Well, with strict medical confidentiality laws in place, is there anything that you see that can be done to get mentally ill people from getting access to guns?
It's really hard, even with the best person, mental health person. It is very difficult to predict, even with all the factors. We have this whole profile of what we know to be true about shooters. And yet, which one of those people is going to actually pick up a gun and start doing this, we really can't predict. But one of the things we know from the profiles is that the shooters always tip off their hand. And so they talk to people, they mention things to their friends, they post on social media. And so one of the ways that we could start to address this is by having people looking at social media and encouraging kids to really, if you hear anything in your school, tell somebody what you heard, because we know that kids are reluctant to do that. They're always like, well, it's not my business. I don't know that person. I don't want to rat the person out. What if I mention this and then that child doesn't do anything? I would rather have kids err on the side of being safe rather than sorry. So encouraging kids in schools, whatever you hear, tell somebody. Same with adults in their lives. If a parent hears some negative things that are going to go down, if they hear the kid being threatening or a hate towards a certain group or something, that adult needs to get some help and say, I'm concerned. Because until a mental health person is involved, there's not a whole lot we can do. And even then, we can't always predict who's going to go out and do such horrific things.
Wow. Well, you have got a new book out, and I know you've been talking about it, and it is called We Need to Talk. Tell us a little bit about the book and its message.
Well, my concern related to school shootings is that we have a whole generation of kids who don't know how to solve problems and don't know how to deal with disagreements. We know one of the characteristics of the shooters is that they always try to join, and they try to be part of a group, and they're awkward and they're socially inept, and they don't know how to do that. It's what we call in the psychology field, they don't have good emotional intelligence. They don't know how to read the cues, they don't know how to join other groups. one of the areas that they're least equipped with is knowing how to deal with differences and conflict in their lives. So if you're a kid and you've been disenfranchised in your school and you don't know how to go and get help for that, you don't know how to address the bully or the person who's rejecting you at that moment, you don't know how to handle those feelings, then you're going to be in trouble. And so I think a lot of people, adults and kids, need a lot of help with knowing how to deal with differences, conflict, angry feelings. And all we have in the society is this push towards violent media and taking revenge. And the message is really clear in our society. You don't like something, you deserve to go after the person. It's the wrong message that we're telling people.
Wow. Well, it's a big challenge for parents raising up this new generation with everything that's going on. Dr. Linda Mintle, thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.